You are listening to the Liquid Flannel Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Chuck Williams. Joining me in Nebraska is Brendan Williams. Brendan, how you doing?
I'm doing not that great.
Okay, Brendan. That's the best we can expect from you. And joining us, as usual, in Arlington, Texas, is the great Matthew Hodges. Matt, you better be doing better than that.
Oh, I'm doing great, man.
Okay, thank God.
I got my verification code, and it was actually 700069.
Mine was 3.141627 ...
It was smart of them. Is it a 6-digit or is it a 7-digit? It's a big number.
Really?
But it was smart of them not to start at like 00001, because that would have just been really sad, because they're probably only in the like early triple digits.
20s.
Yeah.
There's like 400 things.
There was one web developer who thought that this was an absolutely ridiculous idea, but was trying to like help behind the scenes.
Right. Maybe that's what you get when you're employing a smooth jazz mastermind. You just get a string of numbers. So
Social media startups aren't doing great. I'm not doing great. I'm feeling a little under the weather. Also under the weather is the entire East Coast.
oh yeah, they're under the hell of weather.
I was supposed to fly to Orlando on September 11th.
Right.
But now the biggest hurricane in the history of like hurricanes basically
It's set to
is set to be there like right in that area on that day.
So what's going to happen now?
Well,
You're going to ruin our recording schedule.
I don't know. We're just going to have to push it back a little bit, so we might
planned for you to be gone a certain time, Brendan.
Yeah, we had all these cool guests who were more fun than you to hang out with.
I'll just go. Bye.
Okay. Well, here's some water wings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're going to need them, and a helmet. And a microphone, because we want you to get some good audio.
Yeah, I would love to get some good audio, because I'm gonna do something that's pretty amazing. I'm doing a Disney Make-A-Wish,
Right?
Because my son had cancer and he went through 18 months of treatment, and so now we're doing the Disney Make-A-Wish, and it's gonna be pretty crazy. I don't really know what to expect, so I'll be giving you guys a full report when I get back. Whenever it happens to go, because we don't know what's going on with this hurricane now. So
bring water socks.
Have you not been down to Disney before, Brendan?
I think my parents took me when I was like 2, and then they were like, "See, that counts. You went." And I was like, "It kind of doesn't count."
it really doesn't.
Right. I've never actually been there.
Like, I kind of haven't. I pretty much haven't.
Oh, it's pretty wild. Yeah, you're gonna.
That's what I hear.
I'm gonna enjoy comparing notes when you get back.
But it's not all bad news. Maybe some good news too.
Yeah, there might be some good news. There's compromise on the horizon. I think we're going to talk a little bit about there. Some possible good news.
And there's definitely, whether it's good or bad news, we always have funny news.
Yeah.
So,
we try to make the best of it.
It's technically not news by the time you all hear it, but
events, happenings.
In the not so distant past, for sure. What else has been going on? It seems like what hasn't gone on. We've got multiple hurricanes. DACA's a big deal.
massive fires in the Northwest.
Massive fires.
In the Rocky Mountain area.
There's so much news that there's things that would be insane news other times are like, you don't even hear about it.
They're just buried.
Right. It's like, oh, half of the United States is on fire? Like, I haven't heard anything about that, man.
Yeah.
But did you see that Trump quote today? And there's 3 hurricanes at once happening, and North Korea's gonna nuke everybody again.
Yeah. The president's son is under investigation for colluding with the foreign power.
Yeah,
to hack an election.
Facebook is like selling out $100,000 worth of ads to like Russian hosted sites.
Yeah. As we call that now,
all kinds of things.
Right.
That's Tuesday, bud. That's just Tuesday.
We might as well just try to freestyle our way through as much of it as possible. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
We have a lot to discuss, including the fact that there's a new and seems to be record-breaking hurricane heading right toward Florida and Puerto Rico and other places. We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good. We have many, many things that are on the plate. Hopefully we can solve them in a rational way, and maybe we won't be able to. We'll probably know pretty much at the end of this meeting, or I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nancy, Chuck. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, man. So hurricanes are crazy. So I'm supposed to fly to Disney and do a crazy, once in a lifetime experience that I definitely will be giving you guys a full recount of on the podcast here.
Well, do you guys want a recount of Trump's most recent hurricane tweet? Go ahead.
Yeah.
What is it?
What's Trump saying about the hurricane?
We will confront any challenge, no matter how strong the winds or high the water. I'm proud to stand with presidents for #1 America appeal.
I don't know what that is. Is that the new social media?
Yeah.
Click on that.
That's the new hashtag?
That sounds like a We Are the World song. If Trump came out with a We Are the World song with all the former presidents, oh, God.
We heed a certain
I would forgive everything.
Oh, they're talking about Hurricane Harvey. Bill Clinton is talking about it. And Obama's talking about
man.
it. And Jimmy Carter's
did
talking
it.
about
One America appeal is the hashtag?
Dude.
Yeah. Okay,
presidential boy band.
You know what? We need to insert this into the episode here.
This is going to be old news by the time.
Yeah, this is breaking hashtag news as we're recording on Thursday night, September the 7th.
Okay, that was nice.
Yeah, okay, so Brendan, it sounds like you just need to pull together as a nation and, enjoy Disney World in the middle of the hurricane.
Yeah, so, we'll kind of see how it goes. We're supposed to do the crazy Make-A-Wish thing down there, but we're supposed to fly out on the 11th, which is literally like the day that the hurricane is going to be like right near Orlando. So...
Right.
We're probably going to get delayed. We don't really know what's going on. Hopefully by the time this episode comes out, I'll have it all figured out.
Well, I guess the upside of them planning the vacation is that they're the ones that have to worry about doing it all, and you just
kind of.
I guess you have I guess you have like a job and stuff, but like you just gotta wait for the call when they're like, "Yo, man, get on the plane. We're going to Disney. It's happening right now." They just do it. And you're just ready.
They kidnap you like it's a hazing or whatever. They
Dude, you're in the Disney fraternity.
You could get Make-A-Wish at any time.
Dude, seriously,
They just throw you in a van and then they just
they make your
throw the hood
come
on
true
you
when you least suspect it.
Kick you out, and then you're on the Tower of Terror, and you're like, what?
Dude, seriously, you're immediately in a roller coaster going to Disney.
But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, who could have thought when we planned this? And also the funny part is like, well, why'd you do it in the middle of peak hurricane season, you dummy? It's like, that's my son's birthday. It's September 11th.
Right.
It's already terrible. And then now, September 11th, hurricane destroys Disney World. Like, it's just not a good day, man. Yeah. It's a rough day to have it be your birthday.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I mean, I'd be careful about how much you broadcast that, Brendan, because people might start to, draw a line between events.
Between the birth of your son. And September
9 years, 9 years after September 11th happened.
Oh, was it 9 years? Oh, dude,
so.
Awesome, dude. Awesome.
It was, retroactively, he may have been involved. I can't rule it. I wasn't there.
It was 11 days before my 21st birthday. People were like, man, that dude might have a beer. Can't let that happen.
It's like when the Flash goes back in time, he becomes the lightning bolt that struck him to make him the Flash. Spoilers for the Flash. Everybody.
So what in 2019 we'll see if these things are really coming to a head, and they're all centering around Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, jeez,
man,
this is the place to be, Matt. You need to come back.
All right, Liquid Flannel's canceled because I have a graphic novel epic to write. You guys,
seriously, we'll be back soon, ladies and gentlemen.
So yeah, I mean it's gonna be crazy. Hopefully Disney World's still there. Hopefully we'll still make it happen. We're figuring it out. But you know who else is figuring it out?
Barbuda.
Oh, dude.
Well, apparently. yeah. It's not great down there. I was gonna say bipartisanship.
Oh, yeah. That was actually a good attempted segue. But, Matt spiked that in your face.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I totally
You know what?
did.
People love when you talk about how good it was and then it was ruined. That's good content. All right. So, so we wanted to talk about this crazy news. I don't even know if I can even understand this news story that
it's about debt ceiling, right?
So I think let's just start. Here's the beginning of my understanding. So they're having a meeting about the debt ceiling, which is this must pass bill where if they don't pass it, the government stops paying its bills and has to close. which Ted Cruz made him do one time, and he read Green Eggs and Ham because he hated Planned Parenthood. Is that why it was? Or Obamacare? Something. It's all that.
Yeah, it's usually Planned Parenthood.
So, but this time, you'd think the Republicans control the Senate, they control the presidency, there shouldn't be a problem with the debt ceiling, but yet they're still making it a problem. And so they're having this meeting, trying to figure it out. The Republicans are saying, well, we want to do an 18-month deal to get it way down the future where it's like after the next 2018 elections even.
Right.
And then Democrats are like, how about we just do a 3-month deal?
Yeah.
And Trump's like, that sounds great. 3 months, let's do this.
Yep.
It's like, what?
Right. Well, because they also tied it to Hurricane Harvey.
Right.
Rebuilding
Get it.
funding.
Which needs to happen. Right.
So, it's basically like they just threw it in front of him and he was like, oh, quick win? It's causing long-term problems? Sounds great. Love it. Moving on.
Right.
And it's like, I guess it's like the Democrats are almost like trolling now, where they're just like offering Trump like solutions that sound good at first glance if you don't actually know or understand them, which he doesn't.
Right.
So it's like, oh, that sounds good to me.
Well, it sounds like, as much as I hate to say it, but maybe Pelosi and Schumer are doing what they're supposed to be doing out there.
Maybe they're good at their jobs, unlike anybody on the Republican leadership.
Right.
But I think, Trump's basically the guy at the meeting who is just like, I will say whatever I need to say to make this meeting be over.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, well, it's that. And it's also, Chuck and I were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, that it's also that he is so focused on these negative news reports about how he's an ineffectual president and can't get anything done. And he threatened, during the primaries, and I think even during the general, that he was going to buck his party if it looked like there was something he could get done.
Right.
Now, his voters took that as, in the best interests of the country, whereas I think he meant it in, maybe he didn't know exactly, but there was some level where he was like, in case I start to look bad. And I think that's what happened here. I think that he's been criticized left and right over everything he's been doing. DACA, the announced DACA repeal just happened this week. And I think he's looking for a way to, pick up some adulation in the press.
I mean, after making this bipartisan deal, the very next day he's got a tweet where he says, for all those DACA that are concerned about your status during the 6-month period, you have nothing to worry about. No action! !
Right. Which he apparently tweeted because Nancy Pelosi told him to.
Yes.
So
Wait, no action! ! What does that mean? He's already announced
within
an action.
the next 6 months, he's saying. So it's like, he's like, aren't I so nice? I gave everyone 6 months.
He's saying, I gave everyone 6 months to give Congress the chance to do their job, and then if they don't, I'm going to revisit this.
Right.
And probably just leave it in place like he did with whatever the last thing was that was about to blow up.
Well, which is like...
Oh, healthcare, yeah.
Right. It's insane because, he still wants him to do healthcare. He needs him to pass this debt ceiling. He's got all this hurricane relief stuff that he needs to pass now. And they're still doing tax reform.
Who knew
and
this
he's
would
like,
be a job I hate?
Right. And he's like out for no reason. He's just like, wow, that legislative agenda is jam-packed. I don't know how we're going to do this. What can I do right now? I better just kick one more extremely contentious issue onto the legislative pile. You know what I mean? Like, also, while you're doing all that, while you're reforming the entire tax system and all the healthcare system and, hurricane relief, can you just reform the entire immigration system too while you're at it? Like, thanks.
Right.
Okay. Have that on my desk by Monday, guys.
Seriously. You guys could do it. Just get to work.
Okay, so here's my question for you guys on this. So he did actually campaign on saying that he would go against his party on particular issues. He made it out to be like it was going to be substantive, and really what it has to do with is he's a child who doesn't like to be trashed as a bad president all the time. But he did campaign on that, and that's why the GOP was against him in the primaries, because they knew that there was a risk of him actually doing it.
A true
we
maverick.
haven't seen him do it that much, but now he's doing it. And so I guess my question is, how much credit do you want to give the guy
Hey, man.
for bucking his party on certain issues versus all of the other terrible shit that he's pulled?
I mean,
you could have the shittiest dude on your baseball team or whatever still do some good things for the team every once in a while, and if it helps advance the team agenda, you're like, hey man, we'll take it.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is like, give him credit for like falling for tricks. Like I don't know where the credit's coming in because like he's not doing himself any favors. Like,
give him credit for being manipulated in the way that helps more Americans than he would have consciously done.
Right. Well, and that's
helps actually govern.
Right.
You know,
because he's not helping himself here because he knows the Democrats are not. It's not like he's gonna do a deal with the Democrats where they get what they want, which is making it worse for Republicans. Like, and Trump's like, I don't care about that. But it's like, that's not really a great deal for anyone. Like, and so now Trump's next idea is like, let's just get rid of the whole debt ceiling concept altogether. Like, let's just stop doing this. And it's like,
which is actually backed up by a number of economists, but you know that he doesn't understand.
Well, of course
that.
he doesn't.
He doesn't
know.
No. And the Republicans are like, that's the craziest thing ever. But like, if the Democrats are like, yeah, no, sure, that sounds great. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Maybe you could actually have it. Like, it's like, it makes absolutely no sense. The Congress, how are they even going to pass this deal that he's trying to cut with Democrats? It doesn't make any sense.
I believe it does make sense if we can understand the president as a person who runs purely on his own image of himself in the media.
Do you think this will help that? I don't think it will because
no, it won't. See, it's a bad deal because he's not going to pick up any Democratic voters. Right. They already hate him. I mean, with the heat of 1,000 suns, every person who voted for Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders absolutely hates Donald Trump. So he's not going to pick up any mileage there. And meanwhile, now he's put his entire party in a position where they have to basically defend what they were doing and distance themselves from Trump, except they can't do that too much because their base also loves Trump.
I think you underestimate how many people voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary and then voted for Trump, first of all. Because I can name at least...
I think you are overestimating
Well, I can name at least 3 on Twitter right now, like, for a fact, that are not Russian bots.
I'm not saying there's none,
verified.
but I don't know that that's a huge demo.
Well, and actually, I've got numbers on this, too, because it was something like 15 to 20% of Sanders' primary voters voted for Trump, and the rest voted for Hillary Clinton, roughly. I mean, some people wrote in, some people went for Jill Steiner, Gary Johnson. But the important statistic is that 95% of the people who went from Bernie to Hillary in the general, and about the same amount who went from Bernie to Trump, respectively voted for Obama in the last election.
I was going to say,
so it's not like
that's the part. That's exactly it. The people that voted for Obama twice and then voted for Trump too, that has to factor in.
It is crazy. I mean, can you imagine being a person that could bounce around like that? So
well,
much? Like,
no,
it's
but
hard
I literally cannot put myself in that headspace.
I totally can, and it's not necessarily because I'm crazy or because they're crazy, but those are the people that are voting for a true outsider and that are voting for a true populist message.
Right.
Or at least what they believe to be a true populist message.
And I think there's also a lot of people who are like, I'm just going to vote for, I hate politics, I'm going to vote for the most disruptive candidate.
And there's
if it's Obama
too.
saying hope and change, that's great. If it's Trump saying drain the swamp, it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I hate all you guys.
Exactly. The troll vote or whatever. A good point. But I think that there are plenty of independents out there that will see this as, finally, it looks like Congress is waking up from that gridlock, that gridlock slumber that they've been in.
But it is crazy to think, like, as the Republicans and Democrats drift kind of farther apart, it is weird to still think that there are those people who are like ping-ponging back and forth, In one area, literally like hippies versus Nazis or whatever. Like,
well,
I just can't decide.
There's hippie Nazis, man. There's some Nazis that are wearing patent leather Birkenstocks out there.
I'm thinking 2-dimensionally. I need to think 8th dimensionally now. It's tough.
Seriously.
But I guess.
Some free love Nazis.
Here's what I think the play might be. What if, So there's this whole new weird bipartisanship thing where they're walking this tightrope. Democrats are saying, like, sure, we'll cut a deal with Trump if it hurts Republicans, like, whatever. Right. But they also don't want to be, like, buddy-buddy with Trump. They're still coming out and saying, like, this guy sucks and we hate him and we need to get rid of him.
Right.
While they're cutting deals with him. So that's kind of a weird look already.
Well, and rightfully, too, because all of the stuff that he does when he's not cutting deals with them is terrible. Right.
And right now, the deal is, like, pass a temporary debt limit just to get it out of the way, whatever. But what if the deal is, and which is rumored to happen, is, hey, I'm holding DACA hostage for fund the wall. Do you think, is that a deal worth making, or do you hold off and say, screw it, DACA's dead because we don't want to pay for the wall? That's a tough spot to put the Democrats in, I think.
Yeah, well, I think he's trying that, but we've seen him try that before. And I don't think that people who have been campaigning against the wall and their constituents who voted them into office and support them because they're against the wall are going to be happy with that kind of a deal. See, the problem with Donald Trump is his whole art of the deal is based on every deal he's ever made in his actual life, which is where he walks into a room and he has all the money and most of the power. Yeah. And so he's able to bully himself into these deals. But at this point, that's not where he is. He's one player on a big table. And that's the thing that he doesn't get about this. He plays these things. Maybe he thinks he's being a smart businessman, but he's tried this gambit before. And it doesn't work out for him because the other side doesn't want to play along with. They're not going to let him go like, I'm going to do something hideously evil. Okay, I'll step it back to just normal evil if you give me this other thing that I want. And usually the other side, and sometimes his own party, go, yeah, no, we're not doing that because our voters don't want that either.
Well, his voters do want healthcare, so... And, these people...
That doesn't seem to matter.
Right. They're so opposed to that concept that they're refusing to even have town halls to talk to their own constituents. In the same way that they're trying to bypass this debt ceiling thing until after the election. Because they know that they have to do all this stuff. They know that it's better for these people. But they've campaigned on the lie that it's horrible for years. And those people believe it. So...
Well, and healthcare is such a good example of that, too, because he tried this same tactic with healthcare where it was, okay, Congress isn't going to, basically, if Congress doesn't pass some kind of comprehensive repeal and replace law, I'm just going to start withholding the insurance payments, the big subsidies of the insurance companies that make the ACA work. And everyone went, whoa, no, that's also a terrible idea.
Well, right.
Because then you're doing this sort of like unofficial repeal that's just going to kick people off of healthcare with nothing to replace it at all.
But I felt like the Democrats weren't even in the equation on the healthcare debate because it literally didn't even get to the point where they could have any kind of factor in it. It was literally taken down within the Republican side of the House and the Senate. So
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, even his own party wouldn't get behind that plan because it was such a bad, such a bad gambit that he was saying, if we just like kick all of our voters off of healthcare, then they'll continue to vote for us.
Well, I mean, I feel like now you have the chance, you've got the Democrats at least receptive to the idea of working with you up there, those Democrats, and you're going to be able to peel off some moderate Republicans. And you might be able to get more things done when it actually is a thing where it's going to both sides of the aisle. Right.
Well, and I think the thing that shows Trump's inexperience is that Obama, when he was doing healthcare, he said, look, we just have to pick one thing. And it's healthcare, and we're doing it, and it's hard work. Right. And Trump instead is just saying, like, let's do everything at once. And it's like, you can't do that. It just does not work to do that. And I think it's not going to go anywhere for him. I mean, he has to pick a thing, and he's not picking anything. So,
well, also, I mean, he doesn't even understand that passing some kind of comprehensive health care was necessary for tax reform because the way the ACA works, it interacts with the tax code in all of these different ways. You had to sort out healthcare before you could even move on to taxes, and now he just wants to move on. But we're going to leave this huge thing in place that he was ostensibly against.
We all know that he's not the kind of guy that would ever go into a gym, but if he were, he would totally be that dude that sees Obama lifting weights, you know, at the bench machine and sees him get up and go away and says, man, I'm going to do that. Put on some more plates. I need more weight. And then goes there and everyone has to like help get the bar off of his chest or whatever, you know?
But do you guys think, I mean, do you think, so Matt, you're saying Democrats would not take that wall deal? They're not going to fund the wall?
Oh, well, far be it from me to ever give the Democratic Party any credit for not negotiating themselves out of their best position. I think smart politics for the Democrats would be not to ever take that wall. Take the W on the debt ceiling and the Harvey funding. And then when he tries to threaten DACA for building the wall, say, well, no, we don't want either of those things. We don't want you to repeal DACA and we don't want the wall. Yeah. So no
way,
deal.
Man. You take that wall because that's the best deal you could possibly get. Because Trump says he wants the wall, but we all know it's not happening.
Why?
You're giving him something that is not possible to do. So to just say, yeah, we'll pay for the wall. And then they're not going to build the wall because it's impossible to build the wall.
But that won't stop them from trying to build that fucking wall.
Oh, they'll try, and it'll be the biggest boondoggle ever. He's shooting himself in the foot again, and you got to let him do it. No, you just got to say, yeah, let's do the wall.
Because he won't even learn from it, so you might as well.
On the wall. He's not going to build a single mile of wall.
Audience, call in to Liquid Flannel. No, just kidding.
He won't learn from it, and furthermore, his voters won't learn from it, because that gives him the ability to say, look, I even got funding for the wall, but the Democrats won't let me build it. Whether or not that's true, that's exactly what the argument will be.
And that's great, because that's, again, a win for Democrats, right? Yeah. He's handing them a win.
Yeah.
And they have to take it. And the optics are bad to say, like, Democrats funded the wall, but you funded a wall that's never going to exist because...
Oh, the optics are awful for that, though, because we don't know that it'll never exist. I was going to say, we can still spend $20 billion
exactly
to do it.
Exactly.
Well,
this is ridiculous.
Right. Well, and in a way, that's what Trump wants, because then he could just give the contracts to his billionaire buddies, and they just pocket the money and they never do any work. And he's like, yeah, win, win, win all around.
No. Well, I mean, we wouldn't even know if he was funneling that into his own construction companies.
Right. Oh, I'm sure he'll find a way.
There's no way to know.
Well, his construction companies don't make clear materials, which is what he wants the wall to be anyways.
The wall's going to be just the longest Trump hotel in the world. It's just one long hallway.
Oh, dude. I would actually be in favor of the wall if it was a nice hotel or whatever, but if it had
So Mar-a-Lago is actually the test site, because you do have to talk to DHS and the Secret Service when you go to the lobby of Mar-a-Lago at this point, I have to assume.
Well, Mar-a-Lago is going to be the new FEMA headquarters here, so by the time the wall's being built.
Yeah. Right, if Mar-a-Lago exists after this storm goes through.
Poetic justice.
It'll be interesting to see. By the time this podcast comes out, we may know the fate of Mar-a-Lago, but and here in the past, it's still a mystery.
Sorry to, go on a tangent here with an article I didn't put in the Slack, but did you see about Rush Limbaugh this week talking about Hurricane Irma, calling this that
it's Rush's conspiracy theory is that this is all, it's a conspiracy theory, in favor of climate change?
Right, in favor of action for climate change.
Should we take a break and actually talk that?
Yeah, sure, totally. Yeah, let's come back to that, because we've got a couple of cool conspiracies going on. Yes. We've got Rush Limbaugh's conspiracy. We have the possible actual criminal conspiracy with Don Jr. testifying today. And it's going to be fun. Right. Everyone put on your Mel Gibson hat. And
I can't wait.
We'll come back
I'm looking forward to it.
The reason that I am leery of forecasts this far out, folks, is because I see how the system works. So there is a desire to advance this climate change agenda, and hurricanes are one of the fastest and best ways to do it. You can accomplish a lot just by creating fear and panic. You don't even need the hurricane to hit anywhere. All you need is to create the fear and panic accompanied by talk that climate change is causing hurricanes to become more frequent and bigger and more dangerous, and you create the panic and its mission accomplished, agenda advanced. Now, how do you do this?
How fat should the beets be? Fat with 3 P's.
They need to be fat with 1 P, but like 3 A's. You know.
What's your genre?
Need to be fat.
Is this gonna be a?
Oh, you know, my genre is gonna be dirtbag left trap music. You know, it's gonna be really grimy with those beats. No, just kidding.
Just get like.
Just kidding.
You're gonna like just do beats and then like have someone like reading Karl Marx quotes or whatever over the beats, like what?
Well, exactly, dude.
Well, I think there's a major market for that right now.
There's a lot of SoundCloud rappers out there that are just terrible, so I feel like I can't do worse than that, you know. So I've always just want to mess around with it, and I learned a couple piano chords or whatever over the weekend and stuff. So
nice.
I don't know. We'll see.
I got a ukulele if you need some backup.
Oh, dude, we're gonna do it. We're going to quit the podcasting game and just podcast about how we become a band. That would be great.
Yeah. I mean, I actually have my wife, since we have 2 kids, you got to buy 2 of everything.
Oh, for sure.
And for ukuleles, we bought 3 ukuleles. We have 3 ukuleles.
Nice.
Oh, man. Everyone's got to be. Do y'all jam out together then?
No, I mean, not really, but maybe.
The Williams Family Ukulele Band and Hootenanny.
Here's the thing about jamming with ukuleles. In order to have multiple ukuleles playing at one time, everybody has to like be at a pretty high skill level, or else it sounds terrible.
For sure. Or everyone's just got to be on drugs that's listening to it. So, you know, those are the only 2 ways.
That's what the new slogan for our podcast.
Right. You have to.
So
try it.
When we went into the break, we teased this insane story about Rush Limbaugh.
Our man Rush.
Who, I mean, he has to be at the lowest relevance that he's been in a long time. I mean, you would think in the Trump's America, Limbaugh would be king, but
the conquering hero.
Yeah, but no,
like
everyone wants Tomi Lahren, you know? Everyone wants the cute little blonde version of the same thing.
Or Mike Cernovich.
Right. Like I said, the cute little blonde
or the Jack
of the same
Posobiec or whatever. Posobiec.
I guess. I mean,
Jack Pastrami.
Tucker Carlson's doing his thing. I mean, Hannity's they're still going. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of heavy hitters out there, you know.
Well, now Bannon's back in the game.
That's right.
He should start his own radio show for sure.
That's right.
Well, and of course the king, Alex Jones.
But Sheriff Clark is going to be going to some media group or something, some think tank. So
we have too many. Again, too much news is happening. So
exactly.
But yeah, so we wanted to talk about this Rush Limbaugh thing because he just straight up came out and said like that hurricanes are fake news or whatever.
Hey man, you got to have an angle.
Which is literally like, you know, people are like, the government tells you to evacuate because there's 200-mile-an-hour winds. Hashtag fake news. You're fine. Just stay there.
Right.
Well, his rationale was because he's so hell-bent on denying climate change that he thinks that what this is an idea propagated by the government or by leftists to force a conversation on climate change, which climate change, we have to be real here. Climate change is what's causing the fact that there's 3 hurricanes going on like within 20 days.
Here's the real thing is that who fucking knows? But it doesn't matter because the Republicans are now arguing with them. They're pre-arguing climate change.
Right.
No one has said anything about climate change that isn't a crazy Republican about how fake it is. It's
exactly.
Like they're just exposing themselves.
We're like, this is a hurricane coming, and they're like, climate change.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Always talking about climate change.
It's like, whoa, bro.
Actually, there was actually 4 hurricanes 40 years ago. It's like,
right.
All right.
They're like, no, these climate change monsters, man.
Right. This is called a weather report. It's not climate change. I'm just telling you what the news is, bro.
Well, I do think I think Rush is also, hashtag very online. So he's got to have seen all of the discussions that popped up around and after Harvey, because people are bringing up climate change, and we should be talking about climate change. I mean, in Houston in particular, they didn't do, they haven't been able to plan that city for climate change. It's going to be an ongoing disaster for the next, 50 to 1,000 years. So I think Rush probably did see that thing, but I think there's another thing going on with Rush too, which is he recognizes that he's being left behind by all of these these young bucks in angry conservative commentary, and so he has to go even farther out there. He has to be even crazier and more incendiary.
He's trying to stay relevant, but the other part of his argument was that it's also just. It's fake news because they're trying to make money, and that it's like, the water companies want to be able to sell bottled water for $100 a bottle, and
that's actually true. But water companies aren't the ones pushing the climate change narrative.
Well, right. Rush Limbaugh isn't and we need strong anti-price gouging laws, right?
Right, exactly. It never goes the far, because, hey, I mean, those airlines that jacked up plane tickets to $3,000, it's like, okay, I wouldn't mind if someone came in and said something about these guys, trying to profit off tragedy.
Absolutely.
Right. And you know how liberals are always out there trying to hawk their survival buckets.
Oh, wait. Dude, selling all that pasta, so... But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. And on the one hand, you almost want to say it should be criminal for him to have that kind of influence that can affect people's lives so negatively. But then on the other hand, you're like, if those people, I mean, I'm not going to die saving those people or trying to convince them otherwise.
Hey,
so
it's
maybe
just, it's just entertainment. That's the disclaimer on all of this stuff, including Fox News. It's just entertainment. Don't use it for news.
You look at the average age of Floridians, and just by those statistics, you have to figure there's some Rush Limbaugh listeners down there.
And I think it's kind of like, in a way, I compare it to sometimes what psychics do. Where psychics will say things like the strongest hurricane ever is going to hit this year or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then when it happens, everyone's like, oh my God, did you see that psychic predicted that? But they literally have said it every year for the past 30 years or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, it's going to happen one of these times. And it's like Limbaugh is kind of making that gamble, right? Where he's like, this hurricane's fake news on the off chance that it's not as bad as everyone's going to say.
Right.
It turns at the last minute and it's, it just misses or whatever. And then he's like, see, I told you the whole time, crazy liberals, but
it's already devastated other countries.
And if it devastates America, the last thing on anyone's mind is going to be like, Rush Limbaugh.
Right.
Thanks a lot, Rush.
Exactly. You instantly forget about it because that's the last thing you care about. But if he's right, he'll never let you forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'll be like, I called it way back
That's
when.
the game, man. Heads I win, tails you lose.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny that...
Sucker.
I mean, we've said it before, and I'll say it again, the Republican right wing has a lot more in common with, the rap game than they will ever let on, man. It's all about who's got beef. They're just laying down diss tracks every day on C-SPAN.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah, no one ever apologizes for anything.
You got to ride or die, man. Seriously.
Right. I mean, it's that and the WWE all at once. It's amazing.
Yeah. You got to rush or die.
Well, I mean, talking about people who are going to say literally anything to get themselves out of a jam, I guess Don Jr. went and talked to the Senate today.
Oh, yeah. What was all that noise about? He was like, I had to see if Hillary Clinton was competent enough to handle the presidency.
Right, yeah. I like how you gave Don Jr. a southern accent.
I did, man. That's fucked up.
It's hard. It's hard to do. The voices.
What's a good cosmopolitan, rich, white privilege voice?
You're black.
I mean, I don't want him to sound
able
like
to do that. You're never going to be able to
give it up.
make that voice.
Yeah, right.
It's
Dave
cultural
Chappelle
appropriation.
can. One, Dave Chappelle can. And two, I'm half white, bitches. I'm half white, so I've got this. I mean,
I'm saying
that was be a
by
Grey
way,
Poupon voice.
That was by way of a compliment. I was saying that I don't think you can get yourself in the headspace to be able to convincingly do a Don Jr. voice.
You underestimate how many mental problems I have, friend. But I would say, should we do a Grey Poupon voice or something?
Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
Donald Trump Jr. told the Senate investigators on Thursday that to set up a June 2016 meeting with Russian lawyers because he was intrigued that she might have damaging information about Hillary Clinton, saying it was important to learn about Hillary Clinton's fitness to be president.
Okay, now you're just a plantation owner, but yeah, that's
something he would want to be.
And
one.
that, yeah, you're totally.
I think it was because I was sitting like him, and that was the voice that came out. I don't know.
In a way, the Trump family is kind of like that. But yeah, I love this excuse that he gave. That like, no, I only took that meeting because I wanted to judge whether or not Hillary Clinton was a good candidate for president.
Right.
As if he was ever gonna, if they had showed him some information that was like, no, she's the most qualified person who's ever run for the office, he would be like, oh shit, I gotta go tell dad. Like, we need to drop out of this.
Or can you imagine the other way too? Be like, oh, you guys, breaking news.
We should be voting for her.
Right.
He's like,
or like, even if he did find something, he's coming out and he's like, this changes everything, you guys. Hillary might be bad. And it's like, well, yeah, we know, we're running against her. Like, that's the default position. Like,
that's the point. That's what we're telling everybody no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't actually know until I spoke to some Russians who were actively paying Facebook to spread fake news against her.
Exactly. Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, it's a shame that this meeting happened behind closed doors so that we couldn't really get that voice clip, of Don Jr. trying to explain, like, look, I was just doing this because I love America so much, and I was just worried about what if an unqualified person became president, somebody who was morally compromised.
Oh, I've got to imagine it was
what
all
a disaster.
Flop sweat, him tugging at his necktie the entire time, like Rodney Dangerfield. Like, oh yeah, I just wanted to make sure, like I don't actually watch the news.
God, do you think Trump even realized that this was happening today? Like, have they been prepping this guy? I wonder what the prep meetings for this could possibly be.
For Trump Jr.?
For Trump Jr. to testify? I mean, it doesn't seem like the White House has its stuff together. Although he doesn't even work for the White House. He's not supposed to be involved. You know what I mean? So
he's just part of the campaign or something.
Right, exactly.
Well, Kelly was trying to kick Omarosa out like last week. This is such old news, and it flew completely under the radar when it would have blown up in any other presidency. Because she would like call him on his personal phone or just drop a news article on his desk that was, not complimentary to him, and he would fume about it for the rest of the day. So you got to wonder, like, if John Kelly is running the West Wing and no one's allowed to tell Trump anything negative, like, yeah, does he know? Does he know that this is going on?
Well,
does he know that his party now hates him? I mean, the Donald
I think he's getting the impression.
So pissed at him for working with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi.
Well, you heard that at that meeting where they were talking about the debt ceiling, that Ivanka just like straight up walked in and it's like, hi, Dad. And the meeting completely devolved from there.
Well, it's an intentional strategy.
And it pissed Republicans off.
Man.
Yeah.
Because he's like, they're basically saying like, conversation over.
Right.
Like when that happens, when Ivanka walks in, she's like, oh, hey, guys, I was just passing by.
Right.
You guys are still in this meeting. It's been 20 minutes.
Yeah. She was probably instructed to do that shit.
Yeah.
You know?
You didn't figure out the debt yet? Like, let's go.
She didn't call him daddy in public, did she? Because I've got a little audio clip to play right now.
Sometimes they'll say, he can't be that bad a guy. Look at Ivanka. Now, come on up, honey. She's so good. She wanted to make the trip. She said, Dad, can I go with you? She actually said, Daddy, can I go with you? I like that, right? Daddy, can I go with you? I said, yes, you can. Where are you going? North Dakota. I said, oh, I like North Dakota. Hi, honey. Say something, baby.
Hi, North Dakota. We love this state, so it's always a pleasure to be back here. You treated us very, very well in November and have continued to, so we like sharing the love back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, honey. Thanks, baby. Come.
He he wanted her to, and he was telling about how she did. It was creepy as fuck.
Oh man, that was super creepy. That's the I mean, that is the creepiest. For her to say it, whether or not she said it, but for him to repeat that in front of a crowd of people.
Well,
right. I mean, that's not something that the assistant to the president should really ever be saying, right? Or what is her position? Advisor? I don't even. Special counsel? I can't even keep track of, because that's the sickest thing, is that
really
she works
a state
there.
Of mind,
she works there as a real job.
Right. Yeah, she's got a security
in the White House. That's so messed up. Could you imagine if that happened at your office? If the boss was just like, "Yeah, my unqualified daughter works here now," and she's like, "Daddy, can I ride on the plane?" And it's like, is this really happening?
I mean, that actually happens in a lot of small family-owned businesses.
I guess it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. You underestimate America.
You're right.
Friend.
No, yeah. It makes sense now. Trump, he's just like us. He's a real everyman.
Right.
But I love this headline
2020
from last week. Speaking of John Kelly whipping that thing into shape, so Trump fired his bodyguard / assistant Keith Schiller.
Oh right,
who is where I guess he resigned unexpectedly because he was like, "This sucks. I hate this.
Yeah,
I don't want to be here anymore." I also took a big pay cut.
I was going to say, I made a lot more money outside.
I mean, people are quitting left and right. They also just lost their head of the, it was like the civil rights or like good, the peace diversity group, the peace and joy to all mankind committee. I don't know. After the DACA decision.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. So, and this guy, Keith Schiller, this bodyguard guy, was so close to Trump that he hand delivered the Comey's resignation letter to him.
Wow.
This was that was his
close.
Task,
Isn't that usually an intern's job? I'm just saying.
I guess. Yeah. It's a not when you're in Trump world. He's got
a clerk that serves you.
He's got his chief of staff, head of the GOP, swatting flies in his office or whatever. He doesn't care about the chain of command. So this headline from Newsweek: John Kelly doesn't even like Donald Trump, according to closest ally Keith Schiller.
Wow.
Which is like, oh, you think? Like,
right.
Yeah, is that supposed to be a major surprise? The guy's a career military man dealing with the most undisciplined, childlike man thing that's ever achieved office.
Which is, it just shows how far we come, because with any normal president, that would be a horrifying headline. Be like, his own chief of staff is like, I can't stand this guy. Like, that's ridiculous. But it's like with Trump, it's like, well, duh.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody can stand him.
Nobody likes him.
But, I guess it's one of those tough things where it's like, if John Kelly had any dignity, would he resign and be like, I can't be doing this? But it's like, who else is he going to get? Is there anybody worse?
Maybe he's the man of dignity that says, I've got to stay and do the best I can for America right now. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what he tells himself to sleep at night.
You got to trick yourself sometimes.
But I mean, I guess he is doing some good stuff, because we talked last week, episode, about Sheriff Clark.
Oh, yeah.
And how he was, gunning for those Trump administration jobs.
Right. Yep.
And that was the plan, so much that they were like, you're in, Clark. Quit your day job.
Quit your job. It's cool, man. We got you.
And then he showed up at the door.
With his bags.
Right. And John Kelly was like, oh, hell no.
Nope. Yeah. Not happening.
Hell no.
Yep.
So now he's going to go work for a Trump super PAC or whatever, raising money.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? I can't feel bad for this guy. He'll be fine.
At least he won't be, letting people die of thirst or whatever.
In the jail.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sure he'll just get one of those pardons or whatever anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Maybe he's safer at a super PAC. It's like, here, you have a pen. Here's 2 pieces of flair for your jacket.
See, this might be a long game by the Democrats, right? Because everyone is super enamored of this narrative that the president can't pardon state crimes. So maybe if we just get everyone to quit and go and work for organizations under particular states, then everybody gets to go to jail, and we never even have to go through the impeachment process.
That seems like a really, really long ball gamble if that's what they're doing.
Oh, I don't believe that that's actually what's going on, but it is.
That'd be funny.
It is the form of the baseline of the book that I'm writing, the ripped from the headlines political thriller, Covfefe, and yeah.
A love story.
Yeah, Covfefe, a love story.
Oh, dude, that'd be a great title.
Yeah, man. It's tough because I think someday there will be an epic Trump movie or something, but it's just there's too much. It's not how could you possibly condense the insanity that is the Trump presidency?
The entire movie is just a giant montage.
Right. It's just like we just archived 4 years of like a quad box of like CNN and Fox News, and you just watch that for 4 years in real time.
It ends up just being that reel that they play for Alex in A Clockwork Orange, where it's just like clip after clip of horrible shit that he did, set to Beethoven.
Yeah, I mean, even if you edit it down to like the biggest news stories, it's still going to be like a 3-year long film. Like it's insane.
Well, I mean, I think we have our marching orders, gentlemen. I think it's time for us to go back and listen to our old archives and start writing the first book.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be like, it was the best of America. It was the worst of America.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what Liquid Flannel will be. This look for it in the Library of Congress, everybody, as the official record of the Trump presidency, told by those who really lived it,
that experienced it in the streets.
Yeah,
most of the pictures that you see might be black and white.
And to any archaeologists, any alien archaeologists picking up this this broadcast at the speed of light somewhere out there, I am recording all of these on magnetic discs and burying them under my apartment complex.
Did you guys in high school, did you do that thing where you like interviewed like a World War II veteran?
No.
I did. It was crazy.
In high school?
Yeah.
What, for history?
It was for honors humanities.
Okay. Yeah.
Matt, you were in that, right?
No, I don't think so.
No, you just went on the trip.
Oh, yeah, no, I just went on the trip. I think I was suspended at the time. And
I think
they let
we've
me
talked
go
about
on the
this
trip
before.
anyway.
Okay.
That's the sign that it's time for the high note. But
okay.
But yeah.
That sounds like a high note.
But yeah, I was just saying like that's what it's going to be like with our kids or grandkids are going to be like, you lived through the Trump times, man. Like, and then you'll tell them about it and they'll be like, that's great. That's insane.
They won't call it the Trump times. They'll say, You lived in the before times?
Well, that guy, that Peter Dow guy or whatever that started that Verret.
We can't talk about Verret.
We can't really, but he basically said he wanted to preserve facts for his children.
That is true.
So
wow.
Yeah. That's kind of what we're faced against.
Of all of the hot takes from Peter Dow that I've seen, I had not seen that one.
God, I mean, it's funny to think, but it's also like, I mean, Google's mission now is like, we'd like to archive all information that has ever and will ever exist.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, no, that sounds right. So, I mean, it's doable. You got to dream big, man.
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Although it is the worst system to plan for like the post-fac apocalypse to be like a shitty Twitter ripoff with barcodes or whatever.
That got like a DDoS attack like on the first day or some shit, like
our future generations will
down.
Yeah, by the way, I don't buy that story. I think what happened was they didn't have their servers set up correctly, and one of them burst into flames because Hillary Clinton tweeted about it, and all of a sudden a bunch of people went over to see what it was.
For sure, dude. Fucking anything that it's like the Super Bowl commercial that says like go to bmw.com or whatever, that shit's gonna be fucking broken.
Right.
Like, there's just no way. And then they want it to be broken because then that's a second headline where they're like, did you see this shit was broken?
Right.
But it's not broken now. Check it out.
Yeah, it's not broken now. The left finally gave up their awful attack on our social media network that no one's ever going to use.
Yeah, dude. Right. I can't wait to not use that shit.
Well, we have to stop recording. We actually secretly stopped recording like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, shit. Okay.
we attempted to. Okay.
Let me tell you the story of a video game company you may have heard of called BioWare.
Yeah.
I have not heard of
BioWare, Knights of the Old Republic, right?
Do you know who founded BioWare? It's like Dr. Ray and Dr. Bob or something.
Are they actual doctors?
They're doctors, and they started this company, BioWare, as like a medical device software company, and it didn't go great. So they were like, screw it, let's just do, like, we already have this software company, like, let's just do what we wanted to do anyway, and we'll make like D&D software.
back before we went to med school, all we wanted to do was play HeroScape.
Right. And so they made like a D&D simulator engine, and then they turned that into Baldur's Gate or whatever, and it's like one of the most successful video game companies of all time now, and it's worth good billions of dollars. So
nice.
I mean,
yeah, they made Knights of the Old Republic, which
right.
I didn't know that they were so into D&D, but knowing that it makes the combat system in that game make a lot more sense.
Oh, for sure. And so, there's crazy shit out there like Flappy Bird guy or whatever is just some guy, and then now he's like a famous video game maker.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it's like that game is like,
Right.
It probably took him, I don't think it was his first game, but shit can just blow up crazy. Sometimes you have a podcast and then you just make thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right.
Sometimes it works that way.
Not our experience so far, but yeah, it's
We
possible.
wouldn't turn it down.
I'll try anything once.
That's a cool transition too into what I think was our high note tonight, which is this new South Park video game that they're releasing.
Oh, yeah. You got the scoop on that, right?
Yeah, so this is the second in a series of South Park games. The previous South Park game was kind of like a fantasy RPG, kind of like a spoof of Lord of the Rings called The Stick of Truth.
Well, hold on, because maybe this is me showing my age, but there was an original South Park game for the Nintendo 64 that was like a first-person shooter that was it was bad. That was a bad game.
So bad that it literally destroyed South Park for video gaming for like over a decade until they brought it back with this game where everyone was like, I don't know if it's going to be good. Last South Park game was real bad.
Right.
But everyone loved it because it was more story focused, know, it's all about the writing, and it looks exactly like the show. I mean, it is crazy when you're playing it that you're like, this literally looks just exactly like the TV show. It's pretty unbelievable. So the new one is, instead of a fantasy parody, it's a parody of like superheroes. And it's called The Fractured But Whole. The Fractured Butthole.
Yeah, clever.
It was recently unveiled that this new South Park video game, the difficulty slider and the skin tone slider on the character creation are the same slider.
Yeah, they're tied together.
So easy is all the way to the left, and it's really pale and white. And hard mode is all the way to the right, and it's a little bit more on the brown end of the spectrum.
Right. Your character ends up looking like Token from the show, and also I think it's that if you select like I want my character to be black in this, you're automatically playing on hard mode.
Right. Well, right, and there's a lot of video game nerds out there who are upset about this, I guess, because in order to be the leadest video gamer, you got to play on the hardest difficulty. But then that means they have to play as a black person? This is outrageous.
One, they think it's outrageous that you have to be forced to play as a black guy. And two, it's outrageous because they think it's outrageous the concept that life is harder for a person of color.
Right.
Yeah.
Hashtag fake news.
They're like, you're trying to externalize your own personal problems. So
yeah, and the apologetics that we've seen on places like the Kotaku in Action subreddit, which started out as like the Gamergate headquarters, but now is just a bunch of like angry 14-year-old white guys who really think that Anita Sarkeesian is coming for their video games in the middle of the night, are saying like, oh man, like, did South Park get cucked here?
Right.
Have the SJWs taken over even South Park, like our last bastion of being able to be it's just for the lulz anti-political correctness, has been taken over by people who are like, maybe it is harder to go through life as a black person.
Right.
Which is literally like the whole thing is it's a gag, right?
Yeah.
It's a gag to make you be like, oh, yeah, no, I get it.
Right.
And it's too much for them.
And that literally triggers them. That blows my mind. It's so funny because it's just a joke. Yeah.
Right. Which is funny because I think to most people, it's just admitting a basic unspoken fact where it's like, yeah, it's harder to just exist and live your life day to day if you're a black person.
Deal with way more shit coming at you, you know? Yeah.
Well, because here, I'll give you an example. I never think about how white I am. It's not a thing that comes up.
Right.
Chuck, is that your experience?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I would bet that Chuck never really thinks too much about how white he is, though.
Strange how that works.
Although a black guy has asked me, how long have you been that white? When I worked at a gas station, I was just like, hey, how you doing? You know, he's like, good. How are you? I'm like, I'm doing well. What can I do for you? He's like, how long have you been white like that? I'm like, what? He's like, you talk like a white man. I'm like, dude, I don't know. My mom's white,
like,
so
from
I guess
the suburbs, bro.
Right, I've been like this forever. I'm from Papillion, you know.
I was raised white. I'm sorry.
Like, man, get that shit out of here. Get that white bullshit out of here. You probably eat grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm like, what? Jeez. Yeah, but yeah, I've had to think about it on the regular, but I won't say every day. So, but close. So,
wait, are grilled cheese sandwiches is that a white thing?
I don't know.
You guys are missing out.
I thought everybody liked grilled cheese sandwiches.
I don't. But I don't like cheese at all, and my brother does. And so when we were growing up, I was like, man, look at you eating that white boy food, just like a white man.
To keep the video game highness going, I also have to talk about Sonic Mania, which, if you love old school Sonic video games,
who doesn't?
Honestly, people should. I mean, it's sad for Sonic out there. Sonic went through a real rough patch, you guys. There was Sonic 1, pretty good. Sonic 2, great. Sonic 3,
and Knuckles.
Sonic and Knuckles, a little glitchy, still fun. Very novel concept.
Even Sonic Spinball was kind of fun. It didn't really feel like it was part of the story, but you know,
but then there was a couple hard decades for Sonic in there where it was not great stuff. But Sonic is back, baby.
What I want to know is where were those gamer gators during Sonic where
they were not born yet?
Well, exactly. I'm like, man, you know, the only human's a bad guy and he's a white male, so you know.
I don't know if I'm gonna go as far as to call Dr. Robotnik or what his name is now, which is they switched it to the Japanese name, which is Eggman. Yeah. Which is terrible. Robotnik is so much better. Yeah. But they Americanized that, and the real name is Eggman, which I think is dumb, but whatever.
It's kind of like the Sega
But
Genesis.
Yeah, that guy's not human. That guy's like a billiard ball with 2 toothpick legs or whatever.
Well, yeah.
Although there was a video game in 2006 for like the Xbox 360 and PS3 where Sonic rescues a human woman and they make out at the end.
Do they really?
Yes. Yeah. Which is horrifying.
That was just fan really service, weird. Though, because I mean,
no,
if
that's
anyone's
real. That's
on
in the
Tumblr,
game.
You know that this kind of matchup happens all the time.
Well, that's true. They canonized this interspecies hookup.
Like,
don't Google Sonic the Hedgehog kiss. Don't do it.
Why?
No, just don't.
Okay,
There's a lot of bad stuff out there.
All right, hold on. This might
Sonic
be our
Mania.
actual high note. Is Chuck Googling Sonic the Hedgehog?
My reaction.
Kiss?
No, Chuck.
My reaction.
Stay clean. Don't. Your virgin eyes. But Sonic Mania is really good. It's a new video game. It's basically Sonic 4, and it's so great. It's old school 2D.
Mm. And it's similar great. Music scheme.
Oh, the music is great.
Okay.
Each zone, there's like 2 worlds, and like the first zone is like classic mode, and then the second zone they got that remix on it. Oh, there's some great stuff in there. It's really great.
And what did you say it's on again?
Current consoles. I got it on PC. It's on PlayStation 4. It might even be on the older stuff because it's not. It's an old looking game. It's not maxing out your hardware to check it out. Our time has finally arrived. Who would have thought? I mean, Matt, we used to sit in your bedroom in what 2000?
It would have been like 2000.
Yeah, in the year 2000.
Did you leave the door open?
And we would play Sonic, and we would just leave the Genesis on.
Oh, sure.
Because you couldn't save.
Could do that. I mean, we'd play Mario 3 on that NES that I bought secondhand, and just leave it paused for days. I was so upset if somebody like went through and shut the system off. Like, oh, we were on World 7. We were so close.
And yeah, I mean, this takes me right back. It's even better than you remember it. It's beautiful.
That good old nostalgia.
It's also hard it gets a little hard. Those are some hard games.
Mm-hmm. No, they definitely were. My brother was really good at them. I usually just played his Tails, like from Sonic 2 on or whatever.
Oh, that was so great though, because you could die repeatedly and not cost player one anything.
Yep.
That was a good cheat. I wonder if you can do that on this one. I haven't tried hooking up two controllers yet.
And then I think in Sonic 3 or whatever, Tails could pick him up and fly around with him or whatever.
That was in 2 as well, I believe.
Well, that's a good high note.
That's high enough. Enough
Sonic
note.
the Hedgehog, just generally.
There you go. For sure.
Well, yeah, just this recent game, not generally.
Maybe on average,
more games than not.
Yeah, I mean, dude. I mean, if you have been out of the video game scene for a while and you don't know what's in the Sonic game history, start Wikipediaing some games. There's a game where Sonic the Hedgehog is a werewolf. That was really bad. There's one where he's got like a suit of armor and a sword.
Oh man,
there's some real bad ones.
This is like the equivalent of those Calvin stickers pissing on stuff, you know? Like,
oh yeah.
Wow. They took the thing that like I loved, the thing that represented my childhood, and just made it a thing I hate, which is great because now I can hate myself a little easier every day.
But yeah, I mean, who would have thought, 17 years ago, we'd be here 17 years later being like, whoa, that new Sonic game, you guys.
Right.
Baller.
Wow.
Finally. Been waiting our whole lives for this.
Excellent. Well, I guess that's a good place to call it good here.
Good
so
show.
Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.